This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV.
Welcome to What the Fork Wednesday, the stories that make you stop, blink twice, and ask yourself how this is real life. Logic has left the building. Let's begin.
Boss be rising, BBTV's igniting, turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel road to the neon dream, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling when she hits go live, everybody feels it.
All right, y'all, buckle up because it's Wednesday, and, well, you know what that means. It is officially What the Fork around here on AskABee, where we grab a handful of stories from the wild side of the internet and ask only questions that really matter, like what the fork is going on with people today. I'm Boss B, and if you're near around here, let me warn you right now, this is not the soft, polite corner of the internet where we whisper about bad behavior and pretend everything is fine. No. Around here, we believe in a little something called FAFO, Fork Around and Find Out energy, especially on What the Fork Wednesday. Hello, Plus Sister. Hi, honey. Good to see you. So, because, sometimes the only way people learn is when consequences come knocking on the door wearing steel-toed boots. Now, today we've got 4 short stories lined up, and every single one of them has that perfect, did they really just do that flavor that makes you stop mid-scroll and question humanity for a second. We're talking family drama, neighbor nonsense, workplace stress, and one situation that is going to hit a little deeper because grief and guilt have a way of making even the strongest people question themselves. And that's what makes these conversations interesting, because life is messy, y'all. People are messy, and the internet is basically one giant confession booth where everybody brings their chaos and asks the rest of us if they're the problem. Now, sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes absolutely not. And sometimes the answer is a long, slow stare into the camera followed by, oh, honey, you done forked around and now you're finding out. So that's the vibe today. No sugarcoating, no pretending. Bad behavior is okay, because it just isn't. And definitely no fake politeness just to keep the peace. We're going to look at these situations, call it like we see it, and maybe laugh a little along the way, because sometimes the only healthy response to internet being ridiculous is a little Texas-sized sarcasm. And I'm about 5'2". I have missed you too, honey. Has everything been okay? Just busy bee like me? All right, y'all, grab your drink. I did. Settle in, and let's get into the first story, because I promise you, this one starts off with a wedding decision that turned into a full-blown family meltdown. Crazy messy. You know how I like my mess. All righty, we scooch on over here. Get her loaded up here. Yep, we're doing good today. I don't know why, but probably because we're excited about this evening. And let me just take this moment to say, y'all better be there. Tonight is Ladies' Diary, and I have written and produced what I believe is the best episode for our Ladies' Diary tonight, which is focusing on Women's History Month. That's what it is, guys. That's what it is. Red Eye Hellcat Scat Pack. Wow, that's a heck of a name, and that is awesome. Hello, my day is great. Thank you for asking. I hope your day is good too. All right, here's the first story. Am I the a-hole for accepting money from my parents for my wedding, then eloping? Oh Lord. My parents gave each of my brothers 50,000 when they graduated from the university as a down payment on their home. When I graduated, they did not do the same for me. I asked about it and they said my husband should provide. Okay. I wasn't married. I still lived at home. 3 years later, I met my husband. We dated for a year and then we got engaged. My parents were overjoyed. When we set a date, they gave me a check for $50,000 to pay for the wedding. What the fork? Good question. I took the check and we eloped. We then used the check for a down payment on a house. My husband had a similar amount saved up, so we are in a good spot with equity. That's awesome. I don't know what that means, April, but hi, thanks for being here. Okay, so my parents were furious that, pardon me, I think that's supposed to be word. My parents were furious that they didn't get a big wedding for all their friends and family to attend. Okay. They said that they gave me the money for a wedding. My argument is that I got married and had leftover money. Well, I mean, yeah. That's some standards to put on somebody's wedding. And okay, we'll talk about this in a minute. I better finish. Accurate in my books. Okay, my brothers are on their side, so I am here to ask if I'm in the wrong. Am I the asshole? All right, wow, that's a lot of unpacking there. Look, hold up for a minute because this one right here is some classic fork around and find out family economics. So let me get this straight. Your brothers graduate and boom, $50,000 each for a house down payment. You graduate and suddenly it's 1953 and the answer is your husband should provide. Okay. So the boys get equity and the girl gets a lecture. Fast forward a few years. Now you're engaged and magically the same $50,000 appears, but now it's labeled wedding money. Here's where people are going to clutch their pearls, but I'm going to be real with you, okay? A wedding is a party. A house is an asset. One lasts 6 hours, the other builds wealth. So you took the check, got legally married like you said you would, skip the whole circus, and put the money into a down payment that actually improves your life long term. Okay, that's not irresponsible if you ask me. You're definitely not an asshole here. That's financially smarter than about 90% of weddings I've ever seen, where people go into debt just to feed chicken marsala to cousins they barely know. Now, I will say this, okay? Your parents clearly thought they were buying a social event, not funding your financial future. They wanted the big dress, the ballroom, the look at your daughter, look at our daughter moment, This was about their ego. But here's the forked up part about it. They didn't treat you equally in the first place. Your brothers got investment money with no conditions. You got a conditional gift tied to a performance. So if they want to be mad, they should probably start by explaining why their sons deserved wealth building help and their daughter was supposed to wait for a man. Now, I'm pretty traditional. I don't believe that the man should have the whole responsibility. I mean, nowadays women work too, right? I'm not that old. But come on. It's not like you stole the money. You did what they told you to do. They told you to use it to get married with, and you did that. It's accomplished. You didn't lie about getting married. You just refused to spend 50 grand on chair covers and shrimp cocktail to impress their golf buddies. In my book, that's not being an asshole. That's being the smartest person in the room. Now, are they going to be salty? Oh, hell yeah, they are. You know they are. But that's the risk you take when you try to control grown adults with a check. So, no, ma'am, you're not the problem here. You just played the same financial game your brothers did. And suddenly everyone's mad because the daughter understood the assignment. Really? That is messed up, y'all. All right, comments, because I have to, because sometimes they make a lot of sense and sometimes it just makes you want to jump through and slap them upside the head, but we're going to do it anyway. Not the asshole. Your family is being horrible and is using a bullshit double standard. They didn't expect your brothers to use that money for a big wedding, but you have to. They wouldn't have helped you get a home unless it was through marriage. But your brothers didn't have to condition and just got the money. And they expected you to have a huge wedding so they could have fun. Saving up the money is a responsible thing to do. And they're being bad parents if they'd rather you spend it all in a huge wedding you don't even want. An edit to that. Just a question to be clear. There was a wedding and they were invited, right? They're angry because it wasn't big enough. Probably. All right. Second comment here. If, for example, this concerned money set aside for education, I'd judge you in the wrong. But $50,000 for a wedding when your brothers got the same amount for a home is outrageous. Seriously, what the heck were they thinking? Hi, daughter dear. Rather than giving you $50K to set you up quite comfortably housing wise, we want you to burn through it for a single day called wedding. Yeah, you see, you have melons up top rather than ping pong balls and a sausage down below. So what on earth makes you think you need financial security? Us having fun at that party and being able to brag about it for decades is way more important. Misogyny aside, I also loathe the fact that they wouldn't have given it to you if you'd preferred to remain single. It's basically bullying you into marriage. Sorry, y'all. Not the a-hole. And if it costs you your relationship with your parents, that might be better in the long run in any case. Oh, yeah, I agree there. Absolutely agree. Third comment. Gifts don't come with strings attached. Amen. Methods of control come with strings attached. That is facts. Full stop. Good for you on cutting the strings. They give you $50,000 for your wedding. You use the money for the wedding. They didn't specify how much you had to spend. Exactly. Real quick on these comments, because they're all circling the same bullseye, right? Comment 1 calls out the double standard, and yeah, that's the heart of the whole mess. The brothers get 50 grand to build a future and nobody tells them how to spend it. But the daughter gets 50 grand and suddenly it becomes with a wedding production requirement. That's not a gift. That's a performance contract. Comment 2 comes in spicy, but the point stands, right? Why are the sons trusted with financial security while the daughter is expected to burn the same money on one fancy day so the parents can entertain their friends? And comment 3, okay, probably sums it up the cleanest. Gifts don't come with strings. Control does. It's true. They handed her the check. She got married like she said she would, and instead of lighting 50 grand on fire for chair covers and shrimp cocktail, she built equity. That's not being sneaky. Can you maybe please not spam my chat? I'd appreciate it. Seriously. Thank you. All right, that's not being sneaky. It really isn't. That's just being the smartest, I guess, financial player at the table. Let's put it that way. Okay. All right, next story. Are we still doing it? I hope not. I don't want to have to kick nobody out. I don't like doing that. Be nice, please. Okay. Let me pull this one up here too. Darn it. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. Next story. And then I'm going to take my break because I have to deal with doggies. Alrighty. Am I the a-hole? But what the fork? My neighbors don't take care of their yard. The grass and the weeds are so bad that the mosquitoes make everyone's yard on the block uninhabitable. We're not an HOA or anything, but I feel like there's got to be something we can do about it. If anyone has any advice, let me know, because I'm seconds away from bad decisions. Oh, gosh, neighborly love, Listen, this right here is peak What the Fork Wednesday neighborhood drama, because everybody thinks they're minding their own business until the mosquitoes start running a full-blown Airbnb out of somebody's jungle yard, right? Look, I'm a big believer in your property rules, right? I get it. You want to grow wildflowers. Fine. Turn your lawn into a clover patch. Okay. Let the grass get a little shaggy. Hey, live your life. But there's a line where personal freedom crosses over into public nuisance. Okay? Seriously. And when your yard starts breeding enough mosquitoes to carry off a small dog, congratulations. You've crossed that line. Because now it's not just about your yard anymore. It's about everybody else's ability to exist outside without donating blood to the insect kingdom. And, let me tell you something about mosquitoes in Texas, okay? Or anywhere hot for that matter. They don't respect property lines. Got it? They don't look at the fence and say, "Oh, excuse me, sir, this is a private residence." No, ma'am. Okay? They multiply in standing water, tall weeds, not just standing water, tall weeds, overgrown brush, and suddenly the whole block is swatting like they're in a kung fu movie. Biggest spider just showed up. No, it's a mosquito. Okay, just trying to grill a burger in peace here. No, not without your industrial sized can of bug spray and citronella candle in all four corners, north, south, east, west. I mean, you gotta bathe in this stuff here. Okay, now before you go making the kind of bad decisions that get you on the evening news, take a breath, because there are actually a few adult ways to handle this. I hope I have them. Okay. Most cities have nuisance property or health codes that deal with overgrown lots and mosquito breeding grounds. I mean, like here, we don't have HOA here where I am. We have it in Texas, but not here where I'm at. But we do have city ordinance. They will come and tag you just as soon as your lawnmower breaks down, and it takes you more than 3 days to get it fixed, right? 3 days past the time where you've grown more than an inch. It's crazy like that, but I get it because, everybody wants to keep it clean, and mosquitoes in town are bad because then they bring these big old trucks that spout out this nasty gas for all of us to breathe, and it gets into our AC systems, and then it permeates the homes. You can't get away from it. It stinks. But I mean, what are you going to do? You can report it. I live next to a policeman this way and a policeman that way, so I'm careful, right? But you can report it. The city sends a notice, and boom, suddenly the jungle gets trimmed real quick. You could also try the neighborly route first, knock on the door, be polite, and say, hey, the mosquitoes are getting brutal out here. Any chance you're planning on, to tackle the yard? Sometimes people genuinely don't realize how bad it's gotten. But if they do know and they just don't care, well, then yeah, that's when city inspector becomes your new best friend, right? Now, look, because keeping a yard so overgrown, it's basically a mosquito factory. It's not, it's isn't just being lazy, it's affecting everyone around you. So are you the jerk for being annoyed? Absolutely not. But do not go out there at midnight with a weed killer and flamethrower and a vendetta, because that's how neighbor disputes turn into Dateline episodes. Call the city. Let the boring bureaucrats handle it, okay? And keep your energy pointed somewhere safer, please. Hi. How are you? Azariah? I hope I said that right. That's beautiful. Okay. So I have some comments, of course. Of course. First one. Let's see here. You can report someone for their lawn. The city mows it and they get charged. That's true. That happens here too. I'd say it's generally a really shitty thing to do. If you're going to go that route, at least ask them about it first. Highly unlikely the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes are from a lawn anyways. Stagnant water is the culprit, and the city is full of it this year. Okay. Wrong. Sorry, but you're wrong. It's not just stagnant water. Okay. Second commenter, I can't stand people that bitch about other people's yards. Don't take care of their yard. Okay. What does that mean? They don't keep it cut short to your standards. They don't have a company out to spray for weeds. They don't trim the edges of the lawn and around the trees. If you don't like how it looks, offer to take care of it for them, and you can have it look however you want if they agree. If they don't agree, maybe they like the lawn the way they have it. If you're not paying their mortgage, rent, property taxes, maybe worry about your own stuff and leave your neighbors alone. There's some good advice. Look, quick hits on these comments, okay? Because they're both half right and half missing the point. Comment 1 is correct that mosquitoes usually come from standing water, not just tall grass. But they do come from tall grass. And yeah, the city mowing someone's yard and charging them is usually the nuclear option. So maybe try talking to the neighbor before calling in the lawn police. I mean, maybe something else is going on there. Did you ever stop and think, hey, maybe they're elderly and they just can't do it, and whoever was doing it before can't do it either? Or go offer to help. I mean, your lawn probably looks immaculate. Go help. Be neighborly. Be friendly. Be selfless. There's a good word. But you know what? Comment 2, it swings a little too far the other direction with the mind your business speech, okay? Normally, I would agree. People can keep their yard however they want, but if the situation is actually creating a mosquito problem for the whole block, that stops being just a style preference and starts becoming a neighborhood nuisance, right? Bottom line, talk first. Investigate the water issue and only escalate if the problem is real and nobody wants to fix it. Okay. Last comments, a little bit longer. Hi, I am your neighbor. Not really. I live just outside of Madison, which, if you've seen in the conversations, they are in like Madison, Wisconsin, I believe. But I am in their shoes. I had a life-limiting diagnosis 6 years ago. Aha! I beat that cancer. Congratulations. Then we lost 3 good friends. Then my mother-in-law. Then 2 more friends. Then my dad. To say that the appearance of my grass is last on my list of importance is the understatement of the year. There you go. See? Honestly, right after my mother passed away and I moved into her house, I hadn't lived here in a long time, but I had lived here before, and I knew about city ordinance and everything, but I'm an only child, and my mother was still very young. She was only 64. She just didn't wake up. The lawn got a little long. I was grieving. Things were happening. Other things weren't happening, and I let it get a little bit long, and they come, and you can call them and say, look, I'm sorry. My mom passed away, and I've let it get a little long. I will take care of it. And then that's that. It's done. But you need to stop and consider, seriously, stop and consider what this person might be going through. I'm serious. Everybody has a story. You need to be able to speak about your own, right? All right, y'all. That's crazy talk. That's just crazy talk for me. All right, I'm going to take this quick little break because that one hit me a little hard. But I shall return momentarily. Thanks.
She came from the quiet storms, built a fire from the ground, turned a whisper to a warning. Now her voice shakes the town. Every setback was a lesson. Every doubt became a key, unlocking something bigger. That's the rise of Boss B. When the lights go low, her vision hits high. She built a whole damn network off a promise and a try. Every sunrise, every moment, she's stacking legacy. This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's the queen of the comeback, the storm in the stream, crafting stories out of heartbeats, making visions out of dreams. Got thunder in the hustle, got a voice that cuts clean. Every mic she touches turns to power unseen. So let further spin the numbers, let the views rise slow or fast. Boss B doesn't measure wins by echoes of the past. This moment is a pivot, this season's history. Bow down to the founder of the BBTV dynasty. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the keeps watching as the numbers climb, but she's counting all the moments, not the dollar signs. From the late night grind to the daylight scene, she's building something bigger than the algorithm's dream. Boss be rising, BBTV shining, her story's rewriting a legacy in real time. Boss be rising, BBTV's igniting, turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. BBTV, where the stories breathe. BBTV, where the dreamers believe. Boss be rising, watch her take her place. This is BBTV, this is her grace.
All right, we are back again. And I have two more stories. We may be finished a little early today. Forgive me. It's for no other reason except for that I'm preparing for this evening, too. Like I said before, Ladies' Diary is tonight. Y'all be there. I'm trying my hand at a little something that I want to, I just want to show my appreciation for all these wonderful women out there. And this is our History Month, right? All right, let's get this started. We have more panels right there. Am I the a-hole? I didn't expect what I got. I had cared for my mother for years by myself, as my sister wasn't inclined to help. Through my mother's dementia and other health issues, we may have struggled, but made it work. As a nurse practitioner, I took great pains to make sure my mom got appropriate care. When she became ill with a very fast-acting pneumonia and became septic, I stayed at the hospital with her. My sister finally showed up, and my children were thankfully there for support. But when it was finally decided between the doctor and the family to provide end-of-life care instead of forcing her body to deal with medications that would likely damage her failing organs further, it was agreed to provide IV pain medication to help her be comfortable. There was not a standing order, and as such, I did my best to ensure that appropriate doses were given, but not enough to reduce her breathing. I should have been the daughter in this situation, I know, not the medical provider. But the doctor wasn't always there, and so I tried to balance her passion level and ability to breathe. She passed comfortably the next day. My sister began trying to make decisions about our mother's affairs, but I was the executor of her affairs and had been her guardian. So I held control of things to assure what our mom had wanted was done, and my children supported that. When I made the decision as to the urn into which mom's ashes would be transported, not the one my sister wanted, my eldest son's wife turned and barked at me that I had no business making these decisions. After all, I was the one who had denied my mother pain medication as often as she had needed it instead of letting her die in peace. Ooh. Needless to say, the pain was profound and still is. I did everything I could, I thought, but now I find myself second guessing my decisions. My daughter in law has never apologized but acts as though nothing happened and is mad because I can't accept her back. I don't fight or badmouth her, but can't feel that she is a person I should be allowing in my life. Am I the a-hole? Uh, okay. There's a little bit more to it. So the original poster has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I have kept away from my daughter-in-law and basically not allowed her to be an active part of my life. I don't feel I can ask my son to take sides, but feel that I shouldn't be required to have her actively in my life, knowing she feels she has done nothing wrong. My daughter-in-law thinks I am being unreasonable, and my son says he will stay neutral, but he has to live with her and can't keep in touch the way he used to do to her attitude towards me. I don't want to make him uncomfortable, but don't feel having her in my life is healthy for me if she sees no problem with hurting me. Okay, this one. This one hits heavy. So let's slow down for just a second because there's a whole lot of grief and guilt tangled up in here. First thing, I need you to hear loud and clear. Being the caregiver for a parent with dementia is already one of the hardest roles a human being can take on. It's exhausting and emotional, and most of the time it falls on one person while the rest of the family pops in occasionally with opinions after the hardest work is already done. And that's exactly what it sounds like happened here. You carried the day-to-day responsibility. You handled the medical decisions. You stayed with your mom when she was passing. That's not small. That's not easy. That is love showing up when things are messy and painful. Now, let's talk about that hospital moment because this is where the guilt monster tries to move in and start rearranging the furniture in your brain. End of life care is about comfort and dignity, not speeding things up or dragging things out. Okay. Sorry. You were trying to balance pain relief with breathing because you were standing in two impossible roles at the same time. The daughter who didn't want to lose her mother and the medical professional who understood what the medications do. That is brutal. It's a brutal position to be in. And the fact that you were paying that close attention tells me you were doing the exact opposite and neglecting her comfort. You were protecting her, getting every minute you could. No, I'm not a nurse practitioner, but yes, I am. I have been a medical assistant, so I can understand her point of view. Now, the daughter-in-law's comment, that was not just rude. That was cruel timing on top of grief. People sometimes say incredibly stupid, reckless things about death because they don't understand what they're witnessing and they're trying to process their own discomfort. But accusing the person who spent years caring for their mother of denying comfort at the moment of death, no. That's the kind of comment that cuts deep and stays there. And here's the part where people love to push the forgive and forget narrative, like grief is some neat little bow you tie up for the funeral. No, ma'am. Forgiveness is optional. And access to your life is even more optional. You're not demanding your son pick sides. You're not trashing her name. You're simply saying that someone who said something that devastating and never apologized doesn't get front row access to your emotional world anymore. I I would have done the same thing. Not as gracefully as you did though, my friend, but I probably would have. Look, that's not revenge, okay? That's boundaries. Grief already leaves enough scars without inviting the person who stabbed one of them to dinner every Sunday, you know? So, no, you are not the a hole here. You're a daughter who did the hardest job there is walking a parent through their final days. And now you're protecting your own peace after someone kicked you when you were down. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Okay. Comments. Sorry, this one was a little rough because I felt that, you know? I felt that. All right. So, first comment. Not the a-hole. I doubt your daughter-in-law understands the effect of that narcotics have on the central nervous system. Even with a hospice patient, it's a balancing act. I'm an RN, and I know when you care for a relative or loved one, you often get put in the position of also providing medical care, whether you like it or not. It's true. It's true. When I was going through medical assisting, everybody called me first, and it was just medical assisting. I wasn't a nurse. I mean, okay, not just medical assisting. I did learn how to, give shots, take blood, things like that, but not a nurse. Anyway, what your daughter-in-law said was awful, and as she refuses to even acknowledge what she said, I agree with you. I would keep away from her myself. See? Original poster responded, "Thank you for your insight. I had witnessed and intervened when I could for others who found themselves in that horrible position of having to provide medical care rather than the heartfelt love of someone struggling through the process of watching a loved one pass. It is never an inviolable position to be in, and I'm certain you are correct that my daughter-in-law doesn't understand the effect of narcotics or the balancing act, as you so accurately put it, in dosing a terminal patient under such circumstances. Being an RN, you and I are painfully aware of what providers ethically shouldn't treat family members in such a situation. There appears to be many others here who may not have a medical background, but have, like you, been kind enough to show that kindness and common sense do not allow for such hurtful remarks." Amen, sis. Thank you for your insight. It is greatly appreciated. Look, quick thought. The nurse in the room is saying exactly what needed to be said. End of life care with narcotics is always a balancing act. Comfort versus breathing, and anyone with medical training understands how delicate that line can be. What the daughter-in-law did was judge a situation she clearly didn't understand. And doing it in the middle of grief was especially cruel. The commenter is basically confirming what a lot of people in healthcare already know. Being forced into the role of both caregiver and family member is an impossible position. And if someone throws an accusation like that without understanding the medical or the medicine behind it, an apology isn't optional. It's the bare minimum. Seriously. All right. Second commenter, not the a-hole. I may be wrong, but what your sister-in-law wanted you to do likely would have put your license at risk. Okay, there's a thought. This was a shitty situation for you to have been put into, but it sounds like you did your best. And trying to balance the empathy and emotion with your professional requirements. Mm. Original poster's response. Thank you for your insight. A painful way to have the ethical lesson of providers not treating loved ones reinforced. Indeed. I had seen families struggling with making decisions as to transitioning from curative care to supportive and end of life care, but never heard of anyone in the families I have seen, pardon me, I have seen make such hurtful remarks to other family members. I must admit that the lesson was not lost on me. Should I ever be aware of anyone else being subjected to this type of behavior, I hope for the words and the insight to support the person so targeted. Thank you. Well, there you go. See, that's another reason why I like to read these out, because I'm hoping that, to some degree, somebody may find something helpful in these situations, or my opinion, possibly somebody else's opinion in a comment. It's helpful if you have something similar going on, right? So, real quick on this commenter, bringing up another real point. When you're a medical professional treating family, the ethical and legal lines get real thin real fast. One wrong move and suddenly your license is on the line of top of the emotional weight that you're carrying, okay, already. The reality is she was trying to balance compassion with professional responsibility in a crisis situation. That's not someone being careless. That's someone trying to do the right thing in an impossible moment. And again, it just reinforces how unfair it was for the daughter in law, to just throw accusations without understanding the medical or ethical side of what was happening, right? Third commenter. You did what you thought was right at this time using an informed opinion for your mom. Your mom trusted and loved you dearly, and you her. Your daughter in law has played a cheap shot aimed to hurt you, and so you're doing the right thing. You're a gentle lady who doesn't need or deserve this person in your life, not the a hole. You carry on being the caring soul you are. Amen. And thankfully, the OP has a response here. Thank you. So much pain tends to leave one doubting oneself, which can be dangerous. Your words and insight are appreciated. Yeah, that's great. Look, this commenter is really speaking to the emotional side of it, obviously. When you lose someone you love, especially after being the one who carried the caregiving responsibility, the self-doubt can creep in hard. You start replaying every decision, wondering if you could have done something different. Look, what this commenter is pointing out is simple but important. You made the best decision you could with the knowledge and love that you had for your mom. The daughter in law's comment was a cheap shot during a vulnerable moment, and protecting your peace from someone who accused that kind of hurt into it's cruel. Uh it's just unhealthy. Please, that person doesn't need to be in your life, and you should be thankful that you have that choice, because sometimes you don't have a choice, and your son staying neutral, that's where he needs to be, plain and simple, and leave it be. Okay. All right, we got another short one here. Okay. Am I the a-hole? Girlfriend on her final warning at her job. Girlfriend 27, me, male 27. Am I the asshole after my girlfriend told me she's on her final warning and she's stressing it after coming up short on her register at work? She's had multiple jobs, all jobs that let you go over the littlest things. Not saying this is small, but she's not a thief either. We live very modestly, but so I told her straight up, stop playing with your life. It's not cool. Last time this happened, she went 4 months unemployed, and my savings of over 6,000 went to nothing because I had to pay rent by myself, etc., etc. But yeah, she's mad at me. I wonder why. But so I have this new job, and now I have this PTSD that she's going to do it again. Mind you, she has a very well paying job that she probably won't find again. Okay, let's talk about this. This is less, am I the a hole, and more, welcome to the consequences economy. Look, being short on a register once can happen. Humans make mistakes, okay? Numbers get miscounted. Someone hands you a 20 that sticks to another bill, whatever. But when you start stacking up multiple warnings across multiple jobs for the same kind of problem, at some point it stops being bad luck and starts being a pattern. Look, patterns are exactly what employers pay attention to. Now, from your side, I understand the stress because, you've already lived through the fallout once or twice, or I don't know how many times you said 4 months unemployed, $6,000 in savings gone. You carry the rent, the bills, the whole household while she figured things out. That's not just emotional stress, that's financial trauma. When you grind to build a safety net and then watch it disappear because someone else can't keep a job, yeah, that sticks with you. That's why you're feeling that little alarm bell in your brain every single time, something happens at her workspace. Now, here's where people will say, you were too harsh telling her to stop playing with her life. Honestly, sometimes blunt is the only language that gets through when the stakes are real. Because losing a job with a good paycheck when you're already having employment issues, that's not inconvenient. That's the kind of thing that can derail both of your lives again. But here's the flip side, too. If she's already on a final warning and stressed out, she probably heard what you said as criticism instead of concern. People under pressure don't always process tough love as helpful. They hear it as you're failing. So, are you the asshole? No, not really. Look, you're reaching from the memory of having your savings wiped out while trying to keep the household afloat. That's real fear talking. But the bigger issue here isn't who's right in this argument, it's whether she's actually learning from the pattern that keeps putting her job at risk. If nothing changes, the cycle is going to keep repeating, and eventually you're going to have to decide whether you're her partner or her financial safety net every time things fall apart. She needs to suck it up, Buttercup, and get her head out of her ass. Sorry, not sorry. Alrighty, not the a-hole. First commenter. If she's getting fired from multiple jobs, she is the problem. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Profile badge for the Achievement Top 1% commenter. Oh, sorry. That's not supposed to be in there. Anyway. And being on final warning currently suggests progressive discipline, which means this is not the first time her register has come up short. Yeah. Is she just not taking shit seriously, OP, or is there something more sinister at work here? That's a good question. Second comment. This doesn't sound like someone you want to build a life with. I agreed. Third comment. It is quite possible that she is not suitable for a job that requires a lot of attentiveness. What? People can't just make themselves more attentive. If your body is not built that way, your attention will slip. Are we talking about ADHD? Because you're losing my attention here. Your attention will slip and you will make mistakes. There is nothing you can do about it when working under pressure. All right. I'm going to try to get rid of this one real quick. Lord help me. Sorry, that one kind of just played with my ADHD. Look, just a quick pass on these comments. They're hitting three different angles of the same problem. The first commenter is pointing out the obvious. Thank you, Captain. When this same issue keeps happening across multiple jobs, employers aren't seeing bad luck, they're seeing pattern. And final warnings, they usually mean management has already tried correcting behavior a few times. The second commenter goes straight into the life decision angle, okay? Basically saying if instability keeps repeating, you have to ask whether this is someone you can, realistically build a future with. And the third commenter brings up something people don't talk about enough. Sometimes the job itself just isn't the right fit. If someone struggles with attention under pressure, ADHD, I'm going to just assume that that's what they meant. Cash handling might simply not be their lane. So the real question just isn't blame. It's whether she's willing to recognize the pattern and find work where she can actually succeed, right? I mean, that's not hard. It really isn't. Seriously. Okay, well, I guess I'm getting better at riffing because we've almost made it an hour and I figured this wasn't going to be enough. I did good again. All right, y'all. That's going to wrap it up for today's edition of What the Fork Wednesday. And honestly, if today proved anything, it's that the internet never runs out of ways to make you tilt your head and say, what the fork did I just read? Yeah. We had family money drama that turned into a financial chess match and a neighborhood mosquito war that almost became a midnight revenge story. A heartbreaking situation where grief collided with cruelty and a relationship conversation that reminded us real quick that love doesn't cancel out responsibility. And that's, well, kind of the whole point of this show. Life isn't neat, y'all. It's messy. You know it is. And I love the messy. You know why? Because my life is messy. And I still love my life no matter what's going on. People make messy decisions, and sometimes all you can do is step back, look at the situation, and ask yourself whether someone's learning a lesson the easy way or, the fork around and find out way. Around here, we try to keep it real because pretending bad behavior is fine doesn't help anybody grow, right? We also remember that behind most of these stories are real people trying to figure things out in real time. Some are doing their best, some are doing their worst, and hey, some are about 3 bad decisions away from becoming the next cautionary tale we all talk about next week. Either way, the conversation is what matters. So if you've got thoughts about today's stories, drop them in the comments, please, because half the fun of AskABee is hearing what the hive thinks. Did someone get exactly what they deserved? Did someone deserve a little more grace? Or, did somebody absolutely earn themselves a front row seat in the Fork Around and Find Out Hall of Fame? Let me know, y'all. And if you enjoy these wild little trips through internet chaos, make sure you stick around because we do this all week long with different themes, different conversations, and the same no nonsense bee energy of me. Until next time, which will be tomorrow, except for the ladies' diary this evening, AskABee is tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central Time. Tonight, 6 p.m. Central Time. Okay? That's when we're having ladies' diary, and I urge you to be there. So until next time, keep your head on straight, keep your boundaries strong, and remember, if you're going to fork around and find out, there is the world, you know? And don't be surprised when you eventually find out. I'll see y'all later this evening. I want to see y'all. I'll buzz you guys later. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your day. I can't get to it. Something happened. Hold up. Y'all, I hate when this happens. I have no clue why it does it, and I can't get to it. You know what? It is what it is, right? Life happens. It does. It happens. It happens every single freaking day. And every single freaking day, I can't find the files that I need. All right. Well, you guys, my tuber chat and my other stuff is gone at the moment. For some weird reason, I can't get to it. So, I'm just going to have to play the outro. Y'all go see tuber chat, please. Bye, y'all.
Boss be rising, BBTV